gonna go. Noise, yeah, the mess we make. Machine Blunt Kelly get caught in the fake. Facts and logic with a twist of chest. Strip it down to truth, yeah, forget the rest. You propose the lies right out of the park. Look beyond the shadows that set the dark. Sparks of laughter fire up the night, bringing clarity when they blur the fight. Cut through the chaos, yeah, the tangle rise. Steampunk Kelly with a set of clear eyes. Truths and jokes gonna rock this show. Step into light where the real facts glow.
Hello and welcome to the Pun Show. We've got Kitty offered to come on and help me out today because it is an insane day. As you know, I don't typically live cast on weekends, but you know, when I have made exceptions for when ICE murders people, American citizens, and also now the other exception is when Trump decides to unilaterally declare war on another country. So in case you haven't heard, we are at war with Iran now, according to Donald Trump. Said he declared war or whatever. And I don't want to get into semantics about whether or not we're at war with Iran. I'm pretty sure there was an incident that happened where another country bombed us and we declared war on them. What was that war? Oh, there were a bunch of countries involved.
Hold on. There's I have to tell you, he said today that there was election interference in the 2020.
Oh, that was China that did the election interference.
Oh no, he said something about
saying Iran also interfered.
Yeah.
So anyway, what I want to do is, first of all, I want to pre-butt what I am sure is going to happen, just like it happened with Venezuela. This is not about whether or not Iran is a good government, or whether or not they support terrorists, or whether or not the supreme leader. Partly, I think that Donald Trump just wants to take over Iran, because he would love nothing more than to be called the supreme leader.
This is really a lot to do with the Epstein files.
I think that's a lot of it.
That is a lot to do with it, because in the next 48 hours, we are expecting the Clintons' depositions to come out. And there is a great deal of data that is starting to come out. And so many other countries are starting to launch their investigations. So this is just opening. He's watching all of his compadres get pinched. So he's needing to do something and it's election interference, because he wants to create a war so that he thinks he can cancel or nationalize our elections. We got the memo on the EO for that.
But the thing, I mean, all of that I agree with. All of that I definitely think that he's, Epsteining his way out of this. But, or that this is a way out of the Epstein thing, which it's not going to work. But the thing I wanted to bring up is, even because I just can see the MAGAs coming and saying, so you're defending Iran. Like that's going to be their whole defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's no. I'm defending the Constitution. Mm-hmm. My position here is everything. If what you're saying about Iran is true, if it's really worth going to war over because of Iran is a terrible country, have that discussion constitutionally. Actually declare it constitutionally through Congress. And so I want to go through. And then you're going to get all, what about when Obama did it? And what about this? What about that? So I went and I created this slideshow that I want to go through real quick. I don't think it'll take that long, But I just want to talk about the thing we should be talking about is whether or not the president of the United States has unilateral power to declare war whenever he wants. And that's exactly for the reasons you're bringing up that we need to have that discussion, Kitty, is because the president, if the president can just declare war every time he starts getting into polling trouble or because something is coming out he doesn't like, you can't have a war. You can't have the president committing billions and trillions of taxpayer dollars as a distraction. You can't have the president of the United States declaring billions and trillions of taxpayer dollars in order to avoid having the discussion, or to have the president of the United States spending billions and trillions of taxpayer dollars because he's worried about an election. Like all of this stuff. I got so tired in 2006 or in the 2000s of this. Oh, just support our president in times of war. I don't like, that's not the way to tell me to support a war, is to tell me to support the president in times of war because he started the war. Like, no, I'm not going to go back to that. So we're going to talk about what the Constitution says about who declares war, because that is the discussion. Donald Trump operated illegally when he sent those, when he bombed Iran, just 100% illegally. There's not even a debate about it. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to talk about what the Constitution says. I'm going to talk about the history of it. And I'm going to talk about like how Obama fits in that, and how Clinton, you know, other countries, yes, other presidents have done it. They have not done this. They have not done this. So, okay, what does the actual Constitution say? For those whom it matters to. The constitutional framework is Congress shall have the power to declare war. Period. Only Congress can declare war. The president is commander-in-chief of the armed forces. There is clear separation. Declaration is by Congress. Command is by president. So it's an easy way to think of it is that the Congress declares when we use the military. The president decides how we use the military. The president cannot declare war. I know that Stephen Miller and all his little minion friends have told you otherwise. But 100% without equivocation, the Congress decides when we go to war, not the president. The founders' intent was that war powers were intentionally split to prevent executive tyranny, to prevent exactly this sort of thing from happening. That is what their fear was. That's why they split it. It's not even a controversial thing. That is the reality. Don't tell me circles have angles and then tell me to respect your opinion. War opinions were intentionally split to prevent executive tyranny. Kings had unilateral power. Founders rejected this model. That's one of the main reasons we didn't go with a monarchy. This is what they didn't want. What Trump is doing is exactly what they didn't want, is exactly what they were afraid of. So to illustrate this, I want to bring up that back in Tripoli, or back in 1802, there was this thing called the Barnabas Wars, which nobody ever heard of anymore. And that was Tripoli declared war on the United States because they had decided that they were going to start charging these fees for using their waters, and anybody that didn't do it, they would declare war on and start bombing their ships. So they attacked an American merchant ship in the Mediterranean, the USS Enterprise. Interesting. That was actually a battleship, not a starship. Won the first name. I wonder if the Enterprise was named after the Enterprise. Anyway, and the USS Enterprise won the first naval engagement decisively. They wiped out the fleet. Not one person was injured. But there were people that said, you know what? We need to well, not the fleet, but there were like a few boats that were attacking, and they wiped out all the other boats without losing a single sailor. So then there were people. There were other boats that were still trying to attack merchants and stuff. So there were people that were saying Thomas Jefferson should declare war, and he said, "Nope, not so fast." He said, unauthorized by the Constitution, that his ability to react was unauthorized by the Constitution without the sanction of Congress to go beyond the line of defense. So all he was allowed to do, as far as he was concerned, is to defend Americans. He wasn't allowed to attack another country. And so he refused to do it. He asked Congress for authorization to use to go on the offensive, and they granted it. But this was after a country had declared war on us, after they had attacked us. He still refused to go on the offensive unless he had congressional authorization. And that should tell you exactly how the founding fathers felt about just the president of the United States deciding that he was going to go around attacking other countries. Thomas Jefferson and the founding fathers would not be on board with Donald Trump deciding that it was okay to go and attack Iran and invade Iran because he was getting a Poles boo-boo. How does this not qualify as the military following illegal orders? Because there's a misconception on that. When it talks about the military following illegal orders, that's more specific. You've got to be an order that to deliberately like shoot a civilian and kill a civilian or something like that. It's a specific act in an instant. This is an illegal war, but it doesn't transfer to an illegal order by a member of the military. I understand why people are confused by that, but it's a lot more nuanced than well, I believe this is illegal, therefore I can't do it. Because the alternative is you end up going to jail. So I've done a show on this that I don't remember the name of it, but if you want to go, I've got a 2-hour podcast on that specific topic about the when is it okay to disobey a military order or an illegal order. So Kitty agrees with your question. All right. So then what happened is after World War II, Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, which is what I was referring to earlier about other countries bombing us. And there's also, I've got if you don't want to spend a whole 2 hours, there's also a couple of illustration, one of explainer videos that I did, the little whiteboard explainer videos that are helpful in that regard. So what happened is after FDR declared war on Europe, and believe it or not, that is the last time we actually had Congress declare war. We've had so many undeclared wars since then. Like, we never declared war with Korea. We never declared war with Vietnam. We never declared war with Panama. We never, like all of these actions, all these military actions all over the world. We never even declared war on Iraq. So, was Congress aware of Japan bombing? Yes. I don't understand the question. Were they aware after Japan bombed? Or anyway, by the way, I don't know if it's true or not, but I read this Paul Harvey thing where they got the idea for bombing Pearl Harbor from a Time article, a Time magazine article. Anyway, so there were all these wars that were being these undeclared wars happening between World War II and after Vietnam. So then after Vietnam, in 1973, they passed the War Powers Resolution. And the purpose of the War Powers Resolution was to limit these things, not to exacerbate them. And they said, okay, we understand. And this is a legitimate point of view, right? Like, you don't want to completely kneecap the president's ability to preempt an actual legitimate strike that could endanger American citizens. Like, if somebody were going to nuke us and you had 30 minutes to take out that, place, or else millions of Americans are going to die, you'd want the president to have the authority to, like, bomb that place before we got nuked, right? Like, there's a legitimate, at least hypothetical scenario where you need to give the president the authorization to attack before it's too late. And so the War Powers Resolution Act was like, look, we understand that there are these situations where you may need to act without getting congressional authorization first, but let's put a limit on that. If possible, you have to let us know beforehand, like at least 2 days beforehand. And if that's not possible, you have to let us know a few weeks. And then we'll let you know if you can continue that authorization. This was not tacit permission to, like, go do whatever you want as long as you let us know within 20 days or 28 days. That's not what that's not the spirit of the debate or the legislation. The legislation was meant to be limiting, not permitting. But what has happened, and this has happened with president after president, happened with Ford, it happened with Reagan, didn't happen with Carter, it didn't happen with, interestingly. But it happened with Reagan, it happened with Bush, it happened with Clinton, although with Clinton to a lesser degree. It happened with Bush too. It happened with Obama. It happened with Trump 1. It happened with Biden, although again in a limited scope. And it happens now with Trump just going full hedgehog, conquering Venezuela, now going to war with Iran. But the War Powers Resolution Act was not like, well, you can just do whatever you want as long as you come back. It's better to ask for, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission thing. That's not what this was. This was like, if there is a real threat and you need to respond to it, we're giving you this limited power. It wasn't meant to give unlimited power to the president to start wars whenever he wanted. And actually, until, recently, the whole question about the constitutionality of the War Powers Act is whether or not Congress could even give him that much permission. So what happened is what I just said, this constant abuse of the power. Then what happened is in, we had 9/11, right? And the authorization for the use of military force. When that authorization for the use of military force was not meant to be like universal and expansive across all time and space. That was meant to be against, I think they even named Al Qaeda and what's the name? Even specific terrorist organizations. So you can use that force to go into these countries and fight them to take out the terrorists that carried out 9/11. And of course, we know the history that there was a bunch of bogus stuff involved there, that they lied about Iraq having, weapons, and how they used all of that to justify a war with Iraq that never should have been fought. There was never an actual vote to invade Iraq. They used the authorization for the use of force, which wasn't really what that authorized. But then what happened is the Al-Qaeda kind of split, and the ISIS was fighting Al-Qaeda. But Obama still called them associated forces, right? And what happened is he actually asked for the authorization of military force. And Congress, which was led by Republicans at the time, did not give it, but they didn't give it because they didn't want him to have it. They gave it to him. They denied it because he wasn't asking for enough authorization. They wanted him to do more. And so they actually just said, use the AUMF and we'll fund it. So he didn't like go around Congress. Congress kind of went around having to give him the use. But he's like, if I in retrospect, when I look back at it, Congress should have done what Jefferson said and said, no, I can't do this unless you explicitly tell me I can. That's not what the Constitution says. If you want me to attack ISIS and go after ISIS, you have to give me authority to do that, and then put the ball back in their court. Because I would love to see Republicans sit there and explain why they can't give Obama authority to go after ISIS, because that would have been a trip. But anyway, that's what happened. Obama expanded it that way. Then under Trump, a lot of people don't know this. Trump used more drones than Obama did. Like a lot more. In 4 years, he used more. He used drone strikes. He had so many drone strikes that they just stopped tracking them because they didn't like the bad media that was associated with it. So, and then he expanded it to all these other countries. And then Biden came along. Biden used it in the same way that Obama and Trump had used it. But going against legitimate terrorist groups in the Middle East. Then Trump 2 started. And then Trump 2, he expanded it to just being any terrorist, anytime, anywhere in the world. And, oh, by the way, if I say they're a terrorist, they're a terrorist. So he dubbed cartels terrorist organizations, and then he dubbed anybody he wanted to a terrorist as being part of that terrorist organization. Even though, if like, without going into all the stuff, I've done all this, but on previous shows, but there's like definite legislative criteria to meet the definition, the legal definition of terrorist. And Marco Rubio just calling them terrorists does not make them terrorists. They don't meet the legislative requirements to be called terrorists. But Marco Rubio called them terrorists, therefore they're terrorists. Therefore, if Trump says these people on boats are drug smugglers, then they're terrorists. It's all, just more. And then they used the AUMF as their legal justification for killing these pseudo terrorists that weren't really terrorists and maybe not even drug dealers. I think some of them were. I think some of them were fishermen. But without going into the whole fisherman, debate, this is what MAGA does, is they try to make it about whether or not the person that was killed deserved to be killed, and not whether or not the person that did the killing met the legal requirements to kill them, which is kind of, the much more important point is not whether or not the person killed by the state did something bad, but can the state just go around killing people and then saying they were bad? So anyway, he expanded the power there. Now he's using the AUMF as justification to just invade Iran. Now it's just whatever, as long as the president of the United States says that he's allowed to use the military, he can just go around invading whoever he wants. It's the polar opposite of what Thomas Jefferson said. Thomas Jefferson, after the U.S. ships were attacked and after Tripoli declared war on us, he's like, nope, I can't do that. All right, so now let's look at the JCPOA. All right, got some comments here. Oh, I got a few comments. All right. I worry this attack on Iran undermines the credibility of the FIFA Peace Prize. I know, isn't it? It's like, you really got to wonder if he's going to get that Nobel Prize now, too. Maybe if he just invaded one country, it'd be worthwhile. I was joking on Twitter this morning. Peace through war. Okay, Trump should give back his FIFA. Well, we got some people jumping on the FIFA train. Behavior, I bet he didn't even think of that. LOL. Taliban, thank you. Yeah, that's the other terrorist group. Yellow cake, yeah. This is a reference to some of the drummed up, exaggerated, hyperbolic, nonsensical, weirdo blathering that they did to justify the invasion of Iraq, and how they like this was. I was at the time, this was 25 years ago, so I would have been in my early 30s. The internet was still sort of young in terms of accessibility to information and stuff. It was starting to get there, but just me doing like basic research on the internet, I found out that just like they were saying that they were using these pipes or something to enrich the uranium, and without having any expertise in anything, I was able to learn that those pipes couldn't enrich the uranium enough to become nuclear weapons. What they were, the actual official case that they brought to Congress was impossible. And I'm like, what, don't you have like people in Congress that can fact check this crap? So anyway, I knew that there were no weapons of mass. A lot of people knew, not just me. Anybody that was remotely curious knew there were no weapons of mass destruction long before there was a war there. But the whole thing was drummed up and the Bush was lying through his teeth. That was when Trump was the worst president in American history. Okay, what Obama did, he negotiated. So the JCPOA is oh, wait, I'm sorry. I didn't finish going through the comments, and I saw a Skippy comment that I wanted to get to. Kelly, just curious, did you study U.S. law or work in the government? I have not studied U.S. law or worked in the government. I just read a lot. I don't even have I don't have a college degree. My dad was a diplomat. But and I did go to college for 3 years, and I did take constitutional law, but I don't really consider myself like having studied the law or anything. The No New Wars president has used his Board of Peace. Isn't that something? The Board of Peace, and they paid him like, I mean, come on, this is just turning insane. And by the way, we'll probably talk about this some later, but this is not beneficial to the situation in Gaza. Born too early to deploy in the Middle East, born too late to deploy in the Middle East, born just in time to deploy to the Middle East. You're talking about the 1990, 2000, and who was born to who is this? Donald Trump? Jared Kushner brought peace to the Middle East. Remember, Skippy? Yeah, good old Jared Kushner. Where would we be without him? The Kitty, I don't know if you were here when Tony was talking about, he thinks that Jared Kushner has basically taken over the Epstein empire. Obama also tried to give the Taliban money. What does this have to do with Obama? Obama didn't try to give the Taliban money. What a weird, like, MAGA is just so weird in not just their the things they believe, but randomly I call it Trump's Tourette's. They just randomly say disinformation about everything. No, Obama didn't try to give Taliban money, and it has absolutely nothing to do with Donald Trump illegally starting a war with Iran. Like, what is even the point of saying that? So let's go back to when Obama was negotiating the treaty with Iran. He did negotiate multilateral nuclear agreement with Iran that involved the U.S., UK, France, Germany, Russia, and China. He froze the Iranian nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief, which, by the way, he did not give them billions of dollars. He let them have their own money. And there was like inspections and stuff like that went along with the nuclear agreement. Trump tweeted in 2013. I'll see if I can pull this. I meant to have this ready to pull up, but I forgot to. So give me one sec. This is what, just, in case you love some irony. Have you so in 2013, while Obama was negotiating with Iran, Donald Trump said, "Remember that I predicted a long time ago that President Obama will attack Iran because of his inability to negotiate properly, not skilled. To negotiate properly, not skilled." So, bit of irony there, right? Trump just stopped negotiating with Iran to attack Iran. But this is something Obama was going to do. And by the way, Obama didn't attack Iran. So, just so you know, Trump's position at the time, just so it's not, to validate what I'm saying here, Trump's position at the time, he criticized it as weak and called it the worst deal ever. He claimed poor diplomacy would lead to war. And the irony, Trump predicted war from failed negotiations. Then he came in and he canceled the peace agreement. May 28, Trump withdraws from JCPOA. He unilaterally withdrew from Obama-era nuclear agreement, which, by the way, this was an international effort from many different countries that involved Congress and all kinds of stuff. But Donald Trump just had to Donald Trump. He reimposed maximum pressure sanctions on Iran. He refused to return to negotiations for 4 years. They didn't even ever negotiate with Iran. He did this partly just to go after Obama. He just hates Obama. I mean, that's pretty obvious, right? For no reason. He hated Obama long before Obama threw that grenade at him in the one that, by the way, was actually pretty funny. He was doing his anti Obama Kenya stick long before that. That's why Obama made fun of him. But, making fun of Trump. Trump likes to be the one doing the insulting, not the one being insulted. He rejected a multilateral, like, that's not the only multilateral agreement he rejected. And he thought that military pressure would work better. Well, we'll see. He doesn't seem to be proving that right now. So now Trump in February, just recently, he started to, after he re-entered the office in 2025, he agreed to talk with Iran again. Oman mediates 3 rounds of negotiations. By late February, diplomats say deal is nearly complete. And he was going to get what he wanted, allegedly. Like, there was real hope that, Iran had agreed to freeze everything again and to reduce, to only keep the minimum amount of uranium they need. And there are legitimate non-weapon stuff for less enriched uranium. Like, there's medical reasons, there's energy reasons. So to just say you're not allowed any nuclear energy, or to have nuclear nuclear facilities for nuclear medical capability or anything like that. Like, Iran's a country, it has a right to do things like that. So Iran agreed to dilute the uranium to the lowest level possible. Oman, yesterday, Oman said deal could be reached tomorrow. We could have reached a deal today. You want to know why we attacked Iran? Is because they were willing to negotiate with us. Not because they weren't, because they were. Trump wanted a war with Iran. Trump wanted a war with Iran in his first presidency. And we know he wanted a war with Iran during his first presidency because he actually asked his generals to draw up invasion plans of Iran during his first presidency. And we know that he had that happen because he stole those plans and waved them in the face of a journalist as showing off about how he stole these plans and had them drawn up so she could see what a big, strong man he was. So then, just out of nowhere, U.S. and Israel launched a major coordination strike on Iran. Trump announced major combat operations underway. And some of the weirdest, most, have you heard that speech he gave? It was written by some B movie script writer. It's just so corny and hokey. But anyway, he released that video, that weird sounding video. And then Iran retaliated with missiles at the U.S. bases. Some of those missiles have maybe been shot down or something. So now you've got missiles hitting Abu Dhabi and other places, maybe. I'll let Libby talk about this in a second, but there's a website that tells where all the missile strikes are hitting. And this was all to go back to the beginning. No congressional authorization, no war declaration. Negotiations were still ongoing, no immediate Iranian threat or provocation. And this is where I think I want to go back to the beginning and look at what Thomas Jefferson said. And Thomas Jefferson's refusal to act offensively without congressional authorization versus what Trump is doing. He refused to even consider congressional authorization. This is the opposite. What he is doing is not just contrary to the constitutional. It's not just a constitutional crisis. It's making the Constitution completely irrelevant. We do not live in a constitutional republic anymore. We live in a Trump authoritarian regime. Tripoli declared war on the U.S. Did Iran declare war on the U.S.? No. Did Iran attack U.S. forces or territory? No. Were negotiations exhausted or abandoned? No. Was there any immediate threat or military action chosen? Were they going to do something if we didn't act now? No. So why wasn't Congress consulted before major military action? And how did the Epstein revelations correlate with the war timing? Think about it. This week we find out that there's this allegations by a woman that was, when she was 13, was raped by Donald Trump, and the FBI investigates that, and they have not one, not two, not three, but 4 interviews with her. And all of those interviews and the accusation itself are all withheld from the Epstein files illegally by Pam Bondi. And then just days later, we're at war with Iran. Do you think that's a coincidence? Because I do not. All right, so I'll go back. So that's the slide deck. Did you want to pop on and talk about the one the Iran, or the live map, Kitty? Or should I just go on?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you want to talk about the live map?
Oh, I can for a second. I'll sit here and I can post it in the group, but anybody who wants to follow along, and who doesn't want to go all over the internet and chase open source intelligence like I tend to spend a lot of time doing, this is my most favorite resource for any sort of conflict going on. The inventor of it actually created it so that we could be tracking the Ukraine war, the things that are happening there, to be able to know how to send help and the things to do, and just kind of to keep up with what's actually happening. And then as different wars have begun, it's continued to make new ones. Like there's one on Venezuela and one on Syria. And so they have the Iran one, and it's very good. They post receipts, even like the Study of War and lots of other really reliable war sources really like this open source resource. So you can get videos from there, and it is free, although I always encourage people to donate to them. As you know, all of us that do all of these volunteer things, nobody's making money on them. Nobody really wants to make money on them per se, that are doing good resistance work, but they do need help kind of being able to support them. So, but yeah, the live map is wonderful. And so what I'm doing is I'm live posting on Blue Sky right now as I get updates from both live map and the other open source folks that I follow.
For some reason, it wants me to go to the US. So
okay, so you just re-click on the one that you want to click on. So like if you're going to go to Venezuela, see,
that's it.
So you click and that'll reset it up there, but it takes you all the way through. So some of the highlights right now is that the strait has been closed, although the Ukrainian the UK's Mariner observer says that you can still go through there, but just be careful. As far as I'm concerned, that means no.
It's like 20% of the world's oil flows through there.
Yeah, I tend to favor on, they're saying it's closed. Also, Dubai Airport is shut down indefinitely, which is the largest hub in the world. And they have been, they bombed the crap out of Dubai, which is a giant financial center. And
did they actually bomb Dubai? Because
yeah.
I was, like they're
no, there's actual.
Like I had heard there was like a missile that was shot down to hit Dubai.
No, Dubai got bombed. We have some video of that.
Well, that's just the one hotel. Like I know there's the video of the one hotel that got hit.
No, there's a couple.
And they're saying that was like one missile that got shot down.
Okay.
And it hit the hotel, but it wasn't like aimed for the hotel. Like Iran wasn't trying to bomb Dubai.
Who is they?
Huh? The media.
Who is they?
Like the the royal they. Like I
will
haven't,
say, because my open source
like
says differently.
UAE is saying that, for instance, like, or UAE actually
Where?
hasn't responded much of all.
I was going to say, where's the document? Where are
Uh,
the receipts?
okay. How many? Like I know that you were looking at this more than I was this morning, but just on MSNBC they were reporting that it was just like a missile that had been struck down.
And I just want to warn you that, remember that.
And I know in the instant aftermath, but that's also why I'm like checking. Let's make sure that, you know, like when I get conflicting things, I always want to make sure that of the truth. So, all right. So
we've had a bunch of our bases hit too.
Yeah. Now our bases definitely, I know they're targeting that's what the official reporting, whatever that the MSM is reporting, that that there are all these attacks on military bases all over the region, and that one of those missiles got shot down and that it hit this hotel in Dubai. It wasn't targeting the hotel in Dubai. So, and it's not even assured that it might have just been shrapnel or like fragments or something. I'm not saying that you're wrong and they're right. I'm just saying that's the report that I was hearing. Okay, so here Israel. All right, Israel military. Come on.
Israel and the US launched coordinated strikes on Iran on Saturday in what Israel's defense minister called a preemptive strike, and US President Donald Trump.
Sorry. Go ahead. I'll just shut up. Go ahead. I'll just shut up.
About
finish what you were saying. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Just that was it. Just encouraging folks to watch Live Map.
Live Map. Okay. Yeah, this is a very cool site. I just this is the whole thing. Sorry. Let me go through some comments. Skippy says the Know Your Wars president. Okay, so yeah. Okay. Obama. No, actually, no, dude. Obama. We don't need to even talk about that. But Trump had more drone strikes than Obama. Trump has sent strike more countries than any president. Drone strike. Obama paid Iran billions. No, Obama did not pay Iran billions. Literally, dude. Just like, seriously, I know what I'm talking about. You don't. So at least before you go and do your little pretend fact check, make sure your facts are right. No, Trump is invading Iran right now. He was negotiating with Trump yesterday. War is not negotiating. Incorrect. Polly. Obama released frozen assets that were in the U.S. banks under Reagan. Obama just let them have their $400 million back in exchange for the nuclear deal. I think they were actually originally frozen under Carter. They were frozen in response to the Iran hostage thing, and we've just had that. We've kept those assets frozen, and then Obama agreed to unfreeze some of those assets. That was their own money that we were giving them. Are you? Yes. I'm for America. That's why I'm trying to say we should follow the Constitution. The host, this is not a conversation about Iran. This is a conversation about whether or not the president of the United States can unilaterally act as a tyrant and declare wars on other countries. I know that through your little thick MAGA-headed hat, you cannot possibly conceive of him doing something wrong But the Constitution is unequivocal on this, Polly. The host is against lying politicians, DJ. I'm against tyrants. Yes, also we stole an Iranian tanker off the coast of Venezuela recently. I answered your question. I'm for America. Trump ordered more drone strikes in his first term than Obama did in 2 terms. Yes, in the first 2 years of his first term than Obama did. They stopped releasing the numbers after that. Americans are trigger happy, always have been, always will be. I agree. I spent a whole week on how America has been too aggressive in war. Our history going back at least 100, and to the beginning, right? The entire United States of America is invaded land. Trump does not give one urine about the Constitution. Democrats are against attacking Iran except for Fetterman. No surprise there. I remember when he was a Democrat. Trump actually beat Obama in drone strikes by over 100. All right. You would think Dubai would have their own Iron Dome. Why? I mean, like, and it's not like Dubai gets attacked a lot. You're a tyrant. I don't know what that means. Does the pizza thing mean something? Obama created terms of engagement so the soldiers didn't kill everyone they saw. No, commander-in-chief means he's in charge of the military. That's true. It does not mean he's in charge of when we go to war. He tells them what to do when it comes to protecting citizens. No, that's not what the Constitution says. The Constitution, I'll have to go back to this. Go back to slide 1 or 2. This is what the Constitution says. All right? The Constitution says, Congress shall have the power to declare war. That's it. That's all you need to know. That's all I need to do to defeat your silly little semantic argument. Constitution says Congress has the power to declare war. That's unequivocal. There's no doubt about that. There's no discussion about that. Do you understand that, Mr. Author Stoic? That's not what the Constitution says. The Constitution says Congress decides when to use the military. The president decides how to use the military. The president cannot just unilaterally declare war and decide to go to war. If you miss the beginning of the class, don't come in the middle and correct the teacher, Mr. Author Stoic. Go back, watch the video from the beginning, learn something, and don't correct your superiors. What does attacking Iran have to do with protecting cities? Yes. They want is dead. They want to see you dead. Okay, we're killing them. They aren't killing us. I would not be dead right now if Trump did not start this war. There was absolutely zero threat. You don't get to go and just shoot people that are walking around unarmed and say it's in self-defense because someday they might have an imaginary friend that they decide that you are and then shoot them. You don't get to just declare war on people. That's not the way the Constitution works. That's the way tyranny works. Yes, he did. If somebody came and bombed us and said that they wanted the regime changed and told the citizens to rise up and take over Trump, that would be considered an act of war. You're on timeout. He attacked with the military. How is that not a declaration? I think he even said that it was a declaration of war. No, we went through this already, Titan. what you're talking about, man, all these people that couldn't be here. The War Powers Resolution in 1973, I already covered it. That was not written to give the president open-ended permission to just go out and bomb whoever he wants. It was written to prevent him from not doing that. It said you can only do this if there isn't like an actual threat. And then if you do that, when there is an actual threat, you have this amount of time to come and tell Congress why you did it. It was not like, well, come back and just as long as you can, come back and get authorization within 30 days, you can just go out and declare whatever war you want. Read the law, read the debate behind the law. Learn something other than from Fox News. That is not what that's not what the law was meant for. It's pretty obvious we are trying to secure oil shipping lanes through the state of Hamas to keep the dollar the world reserve currency so our country doesn't collapse. That's an interesting viewpoint. I hadn't heard anybody bring that up. The Strait of Hamas is closed now, so I don't think they're getting what they wanted. He attacked with the military. How is that not a look? I just can't. I mean, like, you go and you bomb a country into oblivion, and then you go on and say, rise up. You send a telecast to the citizens of the country saying, rise up, take over this regime. That's an act of war. To act like that's not a group hug. That's an act of war. We already discussed that. Look at the No New Wars party trying. Yes, exactly. No new wars, no new wars. Well, except for this one because Trump said it. Nothing can say it. You might as well just get I'm a stupid lemming t-shirt and wear it proudly. If you're going to sit there and after, Kamala Harris is just going to bring us into a war. And then, this isn't a war. It's just an armed engagement with another country because Donald Trump doesn't want to get, exposed in the Epstein files. You know what's funny? I'm gonna ban you for that stupid comment. There, that's hilarious. Okay. Look at the No New Wars part. Okay. It's very frustrating to see how MAGA defends and fall right in line with whatever horrible thing Trump says and does. They are all traitors. Yeah, I know, dude. Titan, watch the whole show. Watch from the beginning. I went through all of that history. I'm not going to go through it all again. I already went through all of that. I went through it since World War II. Why we have it, how it's been abused by both parties. Don't come in the middle of the class and start trying to tell me things that I already said. Damn, I totally thought it was a group hug. Yes, yeah, I mean, I drop some bombs in the house every now and then, but I make sure I flush them afterwards so that my wife knows I love her. I let her know I love her by flushing my bombs, including pedophilia. Happy Saturday, elevator, guide, or rail. God bless our brilliant president. The president who thinks that magnets stop working when they get wet. I drop some bombs, but usually in the toilet. Swirly, swirly, swirly. Down they go. So, anyway, I went through all this. It's amazing, isn't it? Like, the best thing about being a MAGA... Oh, whoops. The best thing about being a MAGA is that what you said yesterday has to have zero relevance on the world today. You can say the exact opposite thing. Like 3 days ago, I was being told I was a crazy person because I said that we were going to go to war with Iran and it wasn't a matter of when, of whether, but when. And that it would, I woke up the last 2 mornings wondering if it had happened yet. To this morning, it finally did. I was expecting a war with Iran. You don't put those ships in. You don't have the biggest stockpile of warships in 30 years, unless you're planning on having a war. Sorry, Tyrant and Titan. It's not all your fault. The maggots were being annoying, but yeah, the war powers resolution has been abused to mean you have tacit permission to just go out and do whatever you want, and it really annoys me. And I've actually done entire shows on that specific topic, how the executive power has taken over the congressional power on this, and now also on tariffs and stuff like that. And a lot of that, if you will allow me to indulge, has to do with Congress. Not like at some point Congress decided it was going to stop trying to negotiate things and stop trying to work things out. And I think that a lot of that has to do with, in the 70s, it used to be you had to filibuster if you were going to filibuster. And you had to do the talking filibuster to filibuster. And it was around 73, 74. They and then if you were filibustering, then nothing else could come to the floor. And so a filibuster blocked everything until you got through it. Like a filibuster was a way to block legislation, but it blocked all legislation. It was impossible to get anything done without it. And what happened is then I can't remember. It was called a silent filibuster. I can't remember what the word for it, but that was allowed. And then if you go back and you look at the history of filibusters or cloture votes, here, let me see if I can pull something up here. Okay, so like you can find so let me show you this. This is just one I randomly just now pulled up. I hadn't planned on talking about this, but this is the I don't know what the first year of Congress means, but it generally looks right. So if you look back in the 60s, there were almost no filibuster votes. A cloture vote is, how you end a filibuster. So the way you count filibusters is through cloture votes. And I guess this is the Democrats and Republicans when they do them. So what happened is, or maybe I think it was maybe it's who's president. I think it's who's president. So back in the 70s, this is when they started allowing these like a sitting filibuster. I wish I could remember what it's called, but this is back when they started letting somebody filibuster quietly, where it just, I filibuster this, and then I think as long as you've got a certain number of people behind the filibuster, the bill stops until it gets through with the cloture vote. And so before, when you only had to have the speaking filibusters, there were almost none. But then once you got to where you could still move the legislation forward without a filibuster, then they started to increase. So, you know, like you see, it goes up and up and up and up and up. Then Obama became president. When Obama became president, Mitch McConnell was the Senate Majority Leader. Once Obama took over, there were so many. This is, you know, more or less before Trump. There was like a couple of years of Trump, it looks like. But there were more filibusters and when Obama was president than there were filibusters before Obama was president. That's such a striking number. But a lot of it has to do with that procedural move. The reason I bring that up is once you got to that, then you could have the minority party just basically shut down any legislation that they wanted. And so there's a few, ways where it doesn't work. And so what's happened is just Congress has been paralyzed. Unless there's like extreme bipartisan consent, it's hard to move legislation through. And since legislation isn't getting moved through, the president is usurping power with the executive orders. And if you look at a corresponding graph with well, even that's a little, executive orders have kind of changed in nature and scope as well as frequency. There's actually maybe fewer of them in some ways, but the degree of executive orders and the expansion of power to the president has grown more because Congress doesn't do anything anymore. And so then you need the president to do something to run the government. So this isn't just about the war powers, it's about every power. That's why all the immigration change has come through executive orders. Tariffs now are being run by executive orders, and wars are being fought by executive orders. And that has all been a pattern that has been growing. And now Donald Trump has just taken it to a different level with all of these things. And so I think part of the reason that the executive branch has taken more power is because the legislative branch has stopped giving it up, or has just stopped trying to carry out its duty. I think they need to either change the filibuster rule or get rid of it altogether. Although I think maybe the best thing to do is go back to the talking filibuster. But anyway, I'm glad it annoys you as well too. Sorry if I ranted on you. I didn't mean to rant on you. All right. So Kitty has shared this with me. Oh, is Kitty there? Do you want to talk about this, Kitty? You can nod yes or no. No? Okay. Oh. So Kitty is awesome with this kind of stuff. So this is another. All right, so I'll share my screen. Oh, wait. I'm not doing a screen share anymore. Okay. So if you screen over this, shots being fired and civilians fleeing in Abadan. And then there's like sources where they have it, or like here you got like the camera point of view, smoke rising from an airstrike in the direction of an underground military complex in Khmein, southwest of Tehran. So this is actually really, so then if you click on this, so then it's got like the actual video footage of what's going on. So if you want to know what's going on where, if you want to know whether or not this counts as a war, look at this map. Because it sure looks like there's a whole lot of war shit going on. That looks like a lot of war stuff for something that's not a war. bombing Iranian radar. Oh, what's this one? Oh, that's the there was this school that got bombed, and Iran is saying 56 girls died, but there could be more because, you know, there's a lot of rubble there. Initially they said 24, now it's raised to 56. Whether or not it'll go up more is another thing. Oh, you can't see that. So this is the tweet. So like if you go back over here and you click on one of these tweets, then, you know, like that's the tweet. So anyway, that's a cool site. I'm gonna have to spend some time on that. Almost 8 billion people on the planet, and not a single one does the necessary. What do you think is the necessary? All right. Well, wasn't planning on jumping on for too long today. I just wanted to jump on and really, I want to just hammer home this point. This is not about Iran. This is about the United States Constitution and whether or not the President of the United States has unilateral power to decide when we go to war. And it does. I know you had some MAGAs on here that were sitting there trying to pitch this case because I knew that's why I even came on a Saturday. It's just to preempt that very kind of stupid argument. The United States cannot just unilaterally, or the President of the United States cannot just unilaterally decide that it's going to go out and attack another country and overthrow it. That's just not the Constitution. Now, if he wants to, if there's a good reason to do it, you know, and you had like the idiot that was like, are you for the U.S. or Iran? Well, if there's a good enough reason to go to war with Iran and overthrow their government, then go and argue that before Congress, have Congress authorize it. Let the American people talk to their congressmen. Do not have one person make that decision for us. It's not about Iran. It's about Donald Trump. And it's about Donald Trump defying the Constitution. If you're not for Donald Trump, that is the conversation. Every time somebody tries to bring up Iran, let them know this is not about Iran. This is about Donald Trump and the Constitution. Whatever authority you're giving him now, you're giving to every president throughout time. So anyway, that's my rant. Apologize again, Titan. I feel like you got wrath you didn't deserve. If you're still here. So I dropped some bombs, but okay. So yeah, I think so I've gotten all the comments. So anyway, thanks for dropping in and watching me on a Saturday. And I'll see you on Monday. I'm cool. Good. I hate being a dick. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.